Hi, this is Matthew. This is my online video for informal assessment strategy option B. All right, let's begin. Classroom assessment technique number 23 is directed paraphrasing. Directed paraphrasing is driven by the principle of summarizing or translating highly specialized information in a palatable language catered to the selected audience, customer, or client. I chose this classroom assessment technique because of how it relates to my role at work. When I'm teaching courses, this would make for a great informal assessment strategy. My students would paraphrase what was learned in the section of the course and summarize the core concepts and direct it to either a peer or a mock potential client. This way they can learn how to directly paraphrase the most important ideas or core concepts and direct it towards the end user. So this strategy would work best in the professions and service sector. This informal assessment technique would be best used for interns learning how to summarize core concepts, and the strategy would work well in short 1 or 2 day workshops where certifications are completed at such a high pace. And the instructor needs to have an idea of where the comprehension of learning is for students. Well, let's talk about some pros and cons. First off, advantages using this assessment technique or this informal assessment technique. Um, it's a quick assessment of students' understanding. It builds comprehension and communication of information, and it provides a direction for the teacher or syllabus revision. Disadvantages. It's timely to assess adequately, difficult to establish qualitative criteria, and requires individualized feedback for some learners. Linda B. Nilsson shows how directed paraphrasing is also a means of teaching students how to summarize what they've learned towards a specific group or audience for a specific purpose. What information are we paraphrasing? To whom we're speaking to, and for what purpose are we paraphrasing to that audience? When using this technique, it's good to follow best practices. Some are to have clear instructions to students, turn the data into useful information, identify characteristics of students' response, such as the accuracy of the paraphrased, the suitability of intended audience, and the effectiveness in fulfilling the assigned purpose. And lastly, giving feedback to the learners. So what information did I get from this strategy? Well, the information I received from taking a deeper dive into this strategy are the step-by-step procedures in using this informal assessment technique, the limitations and advantages of using this classroom assessment technique, and the importance of collecting data from the responses of the learners. And the information from this strategy can determine whether my students are going in the direction of the course syllabus or if a revision is required. Having my students direct paraphrase to potential clients or role play with each other during team training or courses will increase their learning. This quote explains why I'd be applying it to my practices at work, with my students, and the intern associates. Application and how I'll apply it to my learners. I'll apply directed paraphrasing at the end of each section of instruction on the 2-day workshops I run, or whenever I run a 60-minute team development class. When I was receiving feedback on my knowledge assessment instrument, one of the suggestions was having some formative assessments within my course. Using this technique would be a way for me to address the direction of the class syllabus and to assess learner adherence of concepts being taught prior to doing a summative evaluation. Feedback. How I'll give feedback to my learners. I'll be able to give authentic feedback to students by returning their paraphrases and categorizing their directed paraphrasing into categories of confused, minimal, adequate, and excellent, or by giving them a level rubric for feedback on how well they showed understanding of internalized knowledge of the subject matter. Level 1 would be the same as confused, level 2 minimal, level 3 adequate, and level 4 excellent. Another way I can provide feedback is by providing handouts with examples of particularly successful paraphrases from previous students in the course. Along with handing back their directed paraphrasing, I can provide a checklist of strong and weak points of their responses and identify areas of opportunities, as well as patterns of confusion and clarity within the course content. So every day at work, when I'm teaching clients or mentoring interns, I translate my internalized knowledge into a format that they can understand. As much as I'm teaching them, the process in summarizing my own knowledge is helping me better learn the concepts I've been educated on, and therefore increasing my success and efficacy in my career as a personal trainer and as an adult educator. The greater I understand my own knowledge, the easier it is to summarize key concepts of the learning process. This will benefit the customer's understanding and increase the likelihood of success. In many fields, particularly in the professions and the service sector, success depends on one's ability to translate highly specialized information into language that clients or customers will understand. That wraps up my informal assessment strategy, assignment number 3, option B, on directed paraphrasing.